What is a typical day like for you?
I get early. I work. My work many times, is to know what is happening around.
Have a look at Latin America's richest person. Annually, we've been given a directory of the world's richest tycoons by Forbes that are influencing the world order and shaping future industries. Today, in this enlightening video, we're going to share with you a story of a Mexican man who ruled on the RBES list from 2010 to 2013. How a young man has achieved this all through his sharpness and keen awareness. But who is this man? Well, this billionaire is Carlos Slim Edu. This man has so much money that it equals 7% of Mexico's gross domestic product. But how did this man become Mexico's richest man? Hold on, we got you. You just have to grab some popcorn and make sure to stay with us till the end of this video. Let's get straight into the topic. Welcome back with another inspiring video highlighting facts and figures for another billionaire who's not from the US. Now, before starting this video, make sure to press this bell icon and subscribe to our channel so you never miss any influential video. How would you feel to be the wealthiest personality on this planet? Staggering, isn't it? Doesn't it take you to the world of amusement? Wait, what? Then stay stuck to the corner, because it's not like that in the fairy tales where if someone finds an Aladdin lamp, a genie comes out of it and grants your wish of becoming a billionaire. In reality, you have to act smartly and think ahead of time. That's what Carlos Slim did. Did you know that, like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, who are trending in news as they're competing with each other for the first spot on the Forbes list, Carlos Slim and Bill Gates used to compete in the same way? Isn't that amazing? No doubt that today Carlos is not in a race with Elon with a net worth of $169 billion or Jeff with $121.6 billion, but still, in 2023, his net worth is a skyrocketing $92.8 billion. Not only this, Carlos was at the top of this catalog from 2010 to 2013, and still, with $92.8 billion, he is the most affluent man in Mexico. He has a huge mark in the world of trade, and that's exactly the reason you see him as an integral part of meetings and financial holdings as an entrepreneur. But who is Carlos Slim? Was he born into a rich family? Let's dig deeper. Carlos is the son of Khalil Salim Haddad Agalamas, who migrated from Lebanon to Mexico to avoid being recruited into the Ottoman army in 1902. After reaching Mexico, he changed his name to Julian Slim Haddad. Shortly after that, Julian Slim and Donna Linda built a good influence and business in Mexico before Carlos. In 1911, Slim started having goods worth $100,000 after just 10 years of opening a goods store. And during the time of the Mexican Revolution, Julian was able to purchase many significant real estates across Mexico. His sharpness, practicality, and knowledge of where and when to invest have helped Julio a lot. And within no time, he became one of the richest men in Mexico with a net worth of 1 million pesos. Carlos was born on the 28th of January 1940 and is part of a business family that was highly influenced by the teaching of his father, Julian Slim, and his brother. From an early age, he was very keen and engrossed in his father's business. His father willingly trained him from an early age how to read financial statements, their importance, and how to manage financial and investment records. Interestingly, Carlos was trained by his father from childhood. Every month, Carlos was given a certain amount of money from Julian, and he had to survive the whole month on that amount. Without any doubt, he learned a lot about keen and savvy investments and business moves through his father. And at the age of 12, he started investing in assets and bought some of the National Bank of Mexico. But it was just the beginning. At the age of 13, unfortunately, his father died. But this young lad continued to work for his father's company at the age of 16 and started earning nearly 2,000 pesos. So, does this mean that his father's wealth is what made him the wealthiest? Well, that's not entirely true. After completing high school, he studied civil engineering at the National Autonomous University of Mexico while teaching algebra. He was very fond of economics, and that's the reason why after his graduation in 1956, he took courses related to economics. But why? Well, maybe to pursue the trading industry. Things started to change when shortly after his graduation, Carlos started working as a stock trader in Mexico. To his surprise, he was able to make a present $3.6 million in 1965 only at the age of 26. Isn't that fascinating that a 26-year-old can make millions of dollars? His father, Julian Carlos, invested this money and started Inversora Bursátil, designed to give investment brokerage facilities. He took advantage of the early 1980s crisis with low oil prices. Investors were taking their money back, and no one was investing in small businesses and firms. That's the time when Carlos did everything that his father had taught him. Despite the crisis, he started buying and purchasing different firms at an economical and low valuation. And guess what? He purchased hundreds of companies, including some of the largest in Mexico, including Sigatem, Reynolds Aluminum, Sanborn's chain of stores, and General Tire. In short, his successful career as a businessman and entrepreneur has the same pattern. He doesn't make investments in a single area of firms. He makes sure that there's diversity in his investments and the firms he owns. That's the reason the list of companies he owns includes tobacco, automobile via Condumex, aviation, financial service sectors, Elementia, one of the biggest cement industries, and the most significant telecommunication firms. He's even reached across the borders of Mexico and has some stock in the New York Times. Moreover, Smith has a Grupo Carso SAB, his international aggregation through which he manages investments in other firms. So, is this where he makes his bundles of dollars? Well, his major source of making bundles and bundles of money is telecommunications. He currently owns major telecommunications firms, including América Móvil and Telmex. When the ministry privatized the firm in 1990, Carlos was the one who invested in Heavenly and Grupo. Carlos bagged Telmex from the government. On the other hand, América Móvil was founded in 2000 as a competitor of Spain Telefónica. Slim's mobile telephone company has achieved a lot in terms of money, with a market share of 71% of mobiles in the market and 81% of all landlines in Mexico. Did you know that América Móvil is the 7th largest corporation worldwide in terms of equity subscribers? And it's on the Forbes 2000 companies. But it's not just this simple. América Móvil is not just making its mark in Mexico, but in the US. It's under the name TracFone Wireless, now 5G nationwide. In addition to this, Telecom Austria is also a major source of revenue. In a nutshell, Smith's telecommunication empire reaches more than 19 countries, including Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Peru, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Paraguay, Puerto Rico, Colombia, and Ecuador, with 290 million subscribers, making Carlos the richest of all. In a recent interview, he shared his views on why he's so keen to invest in telecommunication, saying, quote, "Without a doubt, broadband is the nervous system of today's new civilization, so broadband access is a top priority for our technological society." Turns out that simply Carlos Slim's strategy includes a certain simple step: purchasing or buying some troublesome and fragile companies, putting money and funds in to make that firm turn around. In this way, unlike Elon, Bill Gates, or others who are earning tons of dollars from the companies they've created, Carlos Slim is generating remarkable revenues from the companies he purchases. He never stopped there. In early 2015, he founded Carlos Oil and Gas, valued at $230 million. Until now, he's been diversifying and expanding his empire, but what do you think about how these billionaires spend all their money? Well, let's have a look at Carlos Slim's lifestyle. Wait, what? There's another shell-shocking fact to add, and that's this Hadrian Award winner has been a well-known philanthropist throughout his billionaire livelihood. From the historic center of Mexico City to lay down foundations for microcredit programs, Carlos Slim's billions of dollars have impacted society to a large extent. Don't you want to throw some light on Carlos Slim as a philanthropist? Well, let me have you walk through his devoted life. Now, before getting deep, just keep in mind that just like he's the man with the most dollars on earth, he's also the man who donates the most. This is going to drop your jaw, as he's put a handful of more than $100 million forward to fight poverty in Latin America. His social activities are far beyond this. He's donated another $100 million to a nonprofit foundation in Latin America for the health and education of kids living in the town and their well-being. Looks like $100 million are not worth having a figure for Carlos Slim. Carlos Slim is just like a brand name of philanthropy in his living lands of Mexico and Latin America. He's made another $100 million worth of foundation work named the Carlos Slim Foundation for the enhancement of education and health for those who can't afford to have them side by side. His philanthropy has also helped in making his way to success from success. Let me shock you to your core by saying that Carlos Slim has not slowed down in the art of exhibitions as well. One of the most mentioned influential activities of Carlos Slim is the groundbreaking Museo Somaya, which holds top-class traveling exhibitions and eye-capturing European art and infrastructure. Long story short, Carlos Slim has donated more than 1,000 computers to charity homes, with thousands of glasses and bicycles to towns throughout Mexico and Latin America to help people make their own way of living. There's also a never-ending list of enthusiastic activities of Carlos Slim. If you're well aware of Carlos Slim's social devotions, mention them in the comments section so that everyone watching this video can see it. Now, to kill your boredom, shouldn't we highlight his way of living? Just like a day inside the life of Carlos Slim. That sounds pretty curious, isn't it? What do you think could be the way of life for a billionaire? Just like other rich personalities in the world, would Carlos Slim be living in a luxurious palace worth millions or billions of dollars? Well, we feel sorry to burst your bubble, but that's not the case for Carlos Slim. Would you ever believe that this self-made billionaire has been living in the same house for decades? Well, that'll certainly help raise your eyebrows. Carlos Slim has been living in a house that has 6 rooms for the last 4 decades. And that's not a matter of concern for Carlos. Undoubtedly, the house he's been living in for decades is unexceptional for such an influential billionaire. Because it is situated in his motherland, Mexico, the house has some noteworthy affection for him. Despite being amongst the world's richest personalities, Carlos Slim, unlike other billionaires, still doesn't own any yachts or planes. Now, even though Carlos Slim drives his car on his own whenever he wants to go somewhere, no matter whether it's his workplace or any official gathering, there's no doubt that he's going to drive his Bentley Continental Flying Spur, but he drives it by himself. However, he's always followed by a bracket of defenders. Being known as a business magnate, an awe-inspiring investor and engineer, Carlos Slim has made the world go, wow. For upcoming youth and young investors, Carlos Slim has just set a worth-adopting live example. After leading a successful life journey, Carlos Slim has drawn a picture of victorious life for many to follow. In this video, we've listed a few of his moral practices that you'll get a chance to use so you can build a future on your own. Starting with number 1, know what you exactly want to become. Knowing yourself first is always a top step to making your way, because knowing your intentions first will certainly lead you to success. This is what Carlos Slim mentioned. Carlos's father taught him to read financial, management, and accounting statements because Carlos was well aware of his interest. Know what you want to become and start early. Carlos Slim's success journey started with this tutorial. Undoubtedly, Slim was fully taught the importance of financial records and holders, and that's the reason why by the age of only 15, Carlos was a shareholder in Mexico's largest financial bank. The more you know about your passions and strengths, the farther you can travel. In other words, starting your way early with devotion can make your fortune more successful for you. Number 2, learn to achieve what others can't. You might be a single person who's opposed by all, but at the same time, there's always a possibility for you to be the right one. This was the case for Carlos Slim. When there was a progressive decline in the country's economy due to oil deterioration, he was an optimist, while the rest of the world had no control over their nerves and was dreadful. It was just a game of art. Living in Mexico, have you ever heard of Cigatam? One of the country's largest cigarette-making firms was brought into consideration by Carlos Slim at very depressed rates at the time of the financial crisis. General Tires and the Sanborn chain of stores are from the list of those offshore firms bought about by Carlos Slim at the time of the country's financial calamity. Number 3, forget where you're from. Another important lesson to add to this list is to forget your family status. Your family's wealth can never decide your success fortunes. Because with no dollars in your pocket, you can still build billions of dollars with your devotion. At the same time, being born with a spoon of gold in your mouth can even leave people empty-handed. Even though Carlos's father was also amongst the richest personalities, Carlos Slim didn't rely on his father's wealth. Rather, He made his own way to having billions of dollars in his bank account earlier than the youngsters of his age with his passion for accounting management. Carlos has listed that the only thing you can have from your ancestors is the motivation to work. So make sure you put your ears to Carlos's lesson. Success is never transformable. You should have it on your own. Number 4, have perks of process, not the possessions. Having your dreams fulfilled can bring you happiness, but it always depends on what you're dreaming of. Buying a new Apple series or a car of your dreams may widen your smile, but then you'll have to return to your formal way of living. What matters the most is how long your happiness can last. From Carlos Slim's perspective, the only way to grab the exact meaning of happiness is for you to enjoy the perks of your process of becoming a billionaire. Carlos even used to enjoy a 1-mile drive to his office, and that's what made him motivated for the day. It's far better to enjoy the process than to make yourself habitual of only possessions. And number 5, it's never a bad thing to dominate. You can't put yourself to extra working hours unless and until you're not dreaming of becoming the best of your kind in your domain. Having aims to achieve the highest in your process can be an influencing motto for you. Carlos Slim raised his name in his castle by making himself motivated to dominate. Carlos started investing in every upcoming real estate and corporation firm, and then the world got a chance to be familiar with the name Carlos Slim. Seek yourself to donate first, and then have favorable results in your palms. That's a wrap. This was all about how Carlos Slim made his success. Carlos's investing strategies, to his devotions to philanthropy, and his billionaire ways of living, to the lessons he's listed for you to build your fortune. This video has cropped up all the possible captivating facts and figures about Mr. Carlos Slim. This will certainly help you make your way to a $1 billion lifehood. Comment down below to let us know how this video turned out for you. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.